Everyone, and welcome to Cosmic Conversations. I'm your host, Sheila Seppi, and you're watching us on the Conscious Awakening Network. Now, if you've already signed up to be on our mailing list, thank you so much. But if you haven't, please visit us at consciousawakeningnetwork.org, or you can catch our replays. Well, you can actually watch us live also on YouTube or catch the replays on YouTube or your favorite downloadable podcasting location, such as Spotify or Google, Android, etc. Or you can also watch us on any of the television platforms, Roku, Amazon, Apple TV, or Android TV. But remember, you have to download our app. Just go to the App Store, Conscious Awakening Network, org. Now, I am super excited tonight because our guest is Laurie Parente, and Laurie is an acclaimed intuitive guide. She is an angel medium and an energetic healer. She is passionate about helping others to connect with their teams in spirit. Now, Laurie works with her intuition, angelic light language, shamanic journey, and to help others fully connect to their teams in spirit, to heal, and to embody their light. And tonight she's going to speak with us about how she has the capabilities and capacity and the opportunity to continue our relationships once our loved ones have passed. And I just cannot wait to hear what you have to share with us, Laurie. So welcome, and thank you so much for being here tonight.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here. Very excited.
Well, I'm excited to have you. And this is your first time with us. So if you would be so kind as to, kind of tell people a little bit about you, working with angels. Did it happen when you were an infant, when you were older? I can't wait to hear. So if you'll just share your story and we'll just go from there.
Perfect. I think like so many of us, I was very connected as a child. And it didn't go over very well in my family. And, it was the 70s. And if you told somebody there was an angel on their lawn or there was a spirit in their bathroom, it didn't go over all that well. And so I learned very young. I remember being 3 or 4 years old and kind of filtering what I saw. And then as a teenager, like I just didn't want to be different, right? I wanted to be the same as everybody else, just like every teenager. And I remember just falling to my knees and saying, God, take this from me. I don't want to see this. I don't want to know this. I don't want to talk to angels. I don't want to talk to spirits. And what happened was it got pushed down, but then the spark of me also got pushed down, right? Like you can't just push down part of you. So I did manage to have some years where it kind of was just very dull, but everything was just very dull. And I did, go to school and get married and have 4 kids and do all of those things, build a career in music, but it was just kind of always there, right? And I would bring things up when I got the confidence to do it, but because where I was, it would get mirrored back to me. Oh, that's crazy. That's weird. So
Right.
finally, I don't know, like 15 years ago, I just was getting the nudge. I was getting the dreams. I was getting everything that I needed to bring this part of myself back online. And I just happened to be on Facebook at the time, and there was a advertisement for a mediumship course with James Van Praagh. And I took this course, and it was just the very first day of this course, it just blew me wide open, right? So I wasn't only talking to my loved ones, there was also the angel. It was like they were just having such a party because I was reconnecting.
They were
And
probably
so,
hanging out just waiting for you to
right,
come
right.
back.
They always say that many of us, our angels, are just sitting around twiddling their thumbs, just waiting for us to realize they're there. So I did the human thing, and I took every course imaginable, and I took, I really educated myself, but I also really spent time going within. And I had this fun game where I would imagine myself, see myself as the head of a boardroom table with my team all around me, and I'd say, who wants to teach me today? And I would learn from the angels or the masters or whoever came forward. And it was always really, they kept it really fun for me because I have a tendency to overthink things. So it just was a journey of like a couple years of really that intense work. And then getting that confidence to start saying things to friends, saying things to family, and starting to get that feedback that, oh, this is real and this is impactful for people. And, going out for lunch with friends, and they'd say, you've got to start doing this, you've got to start helping people. And that led to, me setting up a business and working with people and working with my intuition. And I always go back to those basics with people of the first thing that I connected back into was my loved ones. I met with
Mhm.
my mom and my nana in spirit, and that's just what opened it all up for me.
Beautiful. Now, you also speak in angelic light language. How did that come to you?
So it was probably a couple of years into this deep dive. I went to a night of just kind of, one of those things where your friends drag you somewhere and you don't really know where you're going. You're just out for a fun night. And there was this gentleman who spoke light language. And as soon as he started to speak it to me, I started to speak it back. I was just absolutely activated in it right away. Didn't do too much with it for a while because you have that, even though it's such an impactful thing, you overthink it and you second guess it. And one day I was out for a walk and a butterfly landed on my hand and I started speaking it, and you just go, okay, where's the men in the white coats? Like, they're coming to take me away. Like, this is just too crazy, right? And then a couple days later, I was in a session, a mediumship session with a person, and I could just feel it. It was just right here, and I had no choice. You always have a choice, but it just wanted to come out. And she found it so healing right away. She just started to cry. She said, that sounds like home. So I know you also speak light language, and many people will say that it just feels like home. It's such an adaptogenic language. It adapts to whatever the person who's listening needs to hear, and it's always like that homecoming for them.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. And I do know that a lot of times when people are speaking light language to other people, they begin to feel it internally. They
Mhm.
may not understand it, and you may not even understand what it is that you're speaking, but you can feel that energy moving inside. And a lot of people will say, oh, I thought about something I hadn't thought about for years, and I just feel so free of it. Or they'll just say, oh, that was just like food for my soul. And so it's really beautiful. Hopefully, before we're finished tonight, you'll speak a little light language for us from the angels. That'll be fun. But working with your angels every day, are they giving you any kind of information about what is going on this planet right now? Or are they more focused on helping people to be able to release and to raise their vibration?
I would say both. It depends who I'm working with. Many people just need to start somewhere. They need to learn how to ground and how to center and how to keep their energy clear and even learn what their energy feels like. And then as they progress, then the angels will start to come in and give them more information. And what's going on our planet right now is just a little bit of chaos, right?
Just a little bit, but I always say that once the light begins to shine, it starts to reveal the darkness. And it's not like that this darkness is new. It's been here all along. It's just that people, their vibrations are changing and they're like, no. No, no, we don't behave this way. We don't kill each other. We don't steal from each other. We don't do this. We don't do that. And so a lot of people, when they see all of these things, they start to drop into just a little bit of fear. So, what do the angels say about fear?
That it's more of our conditioning and our beliefs, and it's all about unwinding those beliefs. And it's just this millennium old fear that has been kind of placed around us. And the angels are just always about, you can hold more love, you can always hold more love. And as we change and as we ascend and as we bring in more light, that I think is just our job, is to hold more light no matter what we're doing.
Yeah, yeah. And it's true that everyone has at least one guardian angel. When you work with people, do you find that there's like a single angel, if there's a host of angels? What do you find when you work with people?
Like anything else, there's no rules. Right? Um, I believe that we all have at least one guardian angel that we come in with and that we leave with and has probably been with us for many lives. But there's also a host of other angels. And then there's angels that are just situational. Sometimes you just need an angel to help you with a certain thing. Sometimes families have angels that look over them. Sometimes soul families will have dedicated angels. I think, our human limitations and our human language doesn't really allow us to know how many angels there are, but I believe there's 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 just a multitude for each person.
Now, having you on the show tonight is no coincidence because later, not during the show, but a little bit later, as we get ready to wind down, I want to do some quiet space for one of the the people that we've lost in our community, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. And you talk about having the ability to continue relationships with loved ones once they pass over. Can you tell us about that? How did that start for you? Um, do you do that for other people? Just tell us a little bit about that and maybe how that works.
So it works differently for each person. And I think we all have some relationships that, are just very loving relationships. And those relationships are easier to continue afterwards. I did read something today that someone said, let me talk about my person because I can't make any more memories with them. This is the only way that I can connect into them now. And I remember reading it thinking, I feel that's kind of limiting because we absolutely can connect with them. And I think we're meant to connect with them. We've just forgotten how, or we were told we couldn't, or only certain people can, right? So I think it's so important to be able to connect in with them, to realize that we can, and to continue those relationships and to continue them in new and profound ways. Because we love them when they're here, or we have issues with them when they're here that we need to clear up after they pass. And it's always so surprising how those relationships continue. If you'll indulge me, I can tell a little story about my father. I didn't have a good relationship with him. He was just someone who dealt with a lot of trauma and just someone who just couldn't really connect with people. And after he passed away, he would come to me in spirit, and for a while I was like, I'm not ready, I'm still ticked at you. Right? And so I had to work a lot on forgiving him and forgiving myself and forgiving the relationship. And then one day he came through and he said, okay, I'm ready. And the amount of love that poured between us, we were on a dance floor. We were dancing to Dance with My Father. I was a little girl. I had my feet on his feet, all the things that a little girl wants from her dad. And then we have just developed this relationship that is so magical. And he actually comes through, just funny, he comes through as Merlin, and he shows me all the magic in the world.
Beautiful. Now, when we have loved ones on the other side and they're trying to get a hold of us, are there common signs that will happen? I know it's unique for everyone, but are there some signs that we all might have in common?
Well, I mean, we talk about signs like feathers and coins, and one thing, when a memory pops into your mind about your loved one, that's them trying to communicate with you.
Wow.
So it's a matter of stopping. Oh, I've got this memory right now. They're here right now. Can I connect in further? I think sometimes we will see, they'll send us a song that we know was a favorite song of theirs, and we'll hear this song and we'll go, oh, that's great. There's the song. But it's taking that moment and taking that connection further, going further with it.
Beautiful. So Do you have, I know a lot of times when people work with other people on the other side, they say they feel like they're a telephone and that people are just on the other side trying to get through all the time and they're just showing up and it's kind of like me, me, me. Do you find that to be true for you as well? What is a day like for you?
Well, I certainly was like that for a long time. And then I started to work with a shamanic practitioner to learn how to filter it, to learn how so that I could decide when I connected, to kind of have those filters and not have it coming at me all the time. And so being able to go on a plane and not be talking to everybody, or being able to go to the mall or a restaurant or a party and not be worrying that all these spirits were going to come to me, really taking control of my gift was a game changer.
And how did you take control of it?
So it was through an exercise of going. It was something I worked with this shamanic practitioner of going within a room that was all white and it had windows and doors, and just closing all the windows and doors. You know, it was very simple once I learned how to do it.
Nice. Now, could you share with us how you first maybe realized that you were able to communicate with the angels or what those first experiences? I know you said it started very young, but as a 3-year old, what did you think about that?
It felt very natural until I spoke to anybody about it. And it was just the love and the connection and the support and the remembrance that we're not alone. I think being a little one on this planet is pretty tough. Having that kind of, coming in and forgetting who you are is pretty hard. So, just having that support system is what they were for me when I was little.
And so I assume that just like our loved ones on the other side, they're here with us all of the time as well, just sort of waiting on us to ask for their help. But when people begin to receive messages from their angels, is there like certain feelings that people will get, or, what does that sound like? And how can people truly begin to distinguish the angels from their own thoughts?
It's always like, our bodies are our ability, they are our sensory ability to be here. So I always say to people, where are you feeling energy when you're connecting in with the angels? Where do you feel it on your body? And then can we go into that place? So say you're feeling something on your shoulder, you're feeling a touch on your shoulder. Let's go into it and who's touching you, and what is this about? And just going deeper and deeper and deeper with it. And it's your thoughts and your connections feel differently. It's always about how it feels.
Now, if someone maybe doesn't have a relationship with their angels, but they want to start a relationship, are there certain steps that you recommend that they take?
I think it's about learning how to go within, learning how to ground yourself, learning how to clear your energy, learning how to be present, to be centered, and then to tap into your imagination, because we know our imagination is the gateway to all our intuitive abilities. And just asking that, what if I could connect with my angel? What would that feel like? If my angel was right here and I closed my eyes and I connected in, what would it feel like? And then it really depends on if you're a visual person or if you are an audio person. Like, are you going to see things clearly? Are you going to feel them? Are you going to sense them? Are you going to hear messages? And going with whatever comes through for you, and knowing that that's the way that you will perceive your angels.
Beautiful. Now I have another question. So when people think about their guardian angels, everyone has this concept in their mind of what their angel looks like. First, I was wondering if you could kind of let us know how they appear to you, and also, are there different types of angels that people are working with? I always imagine my sitting on the other side is like, Is she ever going to ask us to help? Sitting there twiddling their thumbs because I work with my collective so much. It's like, oh yeah, I got to work with my angels too. So, are there certain roles that angels have on the other side that you're familiar with?
I believe that there are many different types of roles, many different types of jobs, if you were. I feel like sometimes we can get a little too hooked into that. Like, who is this angel and what do they do? And who is this angel and what do they do? And it kind of puts us in our head too much about it. So I like to just say, my angels, I could use help with this, and whoever is the best at that job, let's go with you.
Oh.
Because I know, we can work with Archangel Michael or Archangel, the Archangel Raphael or all the different. For me, I get too stuck in my head when I go down that road. But I know that a lot of people like to know the actual name of the angel they're working with. So again, it's what works for you. It's so individual.
Okay, now let me switch gears just a second and let's talk about what is it like for you when you are working on someone else's behalf? Are you receiving messages? Are you helping them to get clear about the messages that they might be receiving? How does that show up for you?
So both, I'm able to receive messages. I am more of an auditory person, so I hear messages and I also feel them. I'm not super clear visually, but sometimes I will get flashes of visions. So it's more that I hear it or I just feel it and I know it. So I will bring through messages when I'm working with people, and then I will also lead them on shamanic journeys to connect on their own and to kind of build that team and spirit for themselves. It's a
Mm.
place I call soul sanctuary as we go in within to get everywhere and build our own soul sanctuary and work with our team.
Beautiful. Now, I know you do work with individuals. I was wondering if someone books a session with you, what can they expect to occur during that time?
So I always say that, it's again very individual, but I will bring through messages. Will work with anything that they're dealing with physically and mentally, psychologically, and then often their people will start to come through and will bring through messages, and then we go on these journeys, these light journeys, for them to find their own inner light and to find those connections. So it's always very dependent on who they are, where they're at, and where their team is wanting to lead them.
Okay. So, when you're working with the angels, do they provide like direct guidance, like you really need to do this, or show people here's where you need to go? Or do they just totally step back? Because I know free will is involved. So I couldn't imagine that they intervene directly. But how is it that you find that they typically work with people?
Well, I don't feel that they'll ever tell people what to do because, of course, free will. They can intervene if it's an emergency. And we've all seen, things where somebody is just swept out of the way of a car or a car is lifted off of somebody. If it's an emergency and it's not that person's time to pass, they definitely can intervene. But it's more, I find it's more of like, not even suggestions, but just possibilities. Like, this is possible for you. It's possible for you to go down this road. And in order to do that, you would need to look into these things and then it will lead you to where your soul is pulling you to go.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. We really operate within a broad field of possibilities, and everything is laid out before us. So, depending on where we put our intention, then that's what we're helping to create, be it good or be it not so good. But that's how we go about creating things. And so I'm wondering, in your experience, do you find that the angels often guide people like towards their life purpose? Because I know everything exists in this field of possibilities. And if they do they show like give little hints or signs? Do they help people to discern their life path through angelic communication?
I believe they do. I believe many people who come to me are feeling confused or overwhelmed or exhausted and really not clear on their purpose. And so, first of all, I believe that the angels work with them to help them to kind of clear all of those densities and all that discordance that's in their field, so that they can feel more clear. And then just it's like multiple timelines could go anywhere, but it's like these options, and it's always following what lights you up is going to take you to the timeline that you're looking for.
Beautiful. Now, a lot of times when people think of angels, they associate them with religion or different types of spiritual belief systems. Do they appear pretty much in the same way to people that have various faith backgrounds, or because of these backgrounds, do they show up um, based on what their belief systems are?
Well, often they'll appear to the person in the form that's most familiar to them, so that it feels comfortable. Um, but they can show up in any way, right? So when I first connected in with my guardian angel, he showed up looking like Dumbledore because it made sense to me, right? And I like things to be funny, and I like to be surprised. And then, other times they will come to me as fairies, or they'll come to me as dragons, or they'll come to me as elementals. And many of the people that I work with will be surprised how they will show up. It'll be a way to get your attention and to keep your attention.
Yeah, that's interesting. I never thought of angels as showing up as dragons. That's pretty cool. Now, let me ask about this. What about archangels? Do you have any experience working with archangels, and how do those differ from the guardian angels or any of the other angels that you work with?
So I work with the archangels. They're kind of like the bosses, right? And they do have their certain areas. So when we're working with Archangel Michael for protection or support, or we're working with Archangel Raphael for healing, they're kind of like the big bosses that we can go to when we really need that support.
Right, right, right. Now, earlier, I did mention about the light language, and I was wondering if you could take a few moments and maybe share some light language with us. And then, in your opinion, the light language, when people hear this on the replay, will it have the same impact as the people that are sitting here listening to it right now?
Absolutely. As I said, I believe it's adaptogenic, and people will receive what they need to receive. I've done group things with light language, and all of the people will say afterwards that they received something completely different, and also that they heard something completely different. So I think the big thing about light language is it has the ability to bypass our thinking minds and just go straight into our energetic bodies. So it's really important to think of light language as like sound healing. Like if you've ever been to a sound healing, you've listened to some sound bowls or some chimes, it's just think of it that way and try not to get in your head about what does this mean, right? So I'll just ask everybody to kind of deepen your breath, take some deep breaths, and just allow your shoulders to drop. And just feel yourself kind of sinking into this moment. And I am feeling like this light language transmission is around loneliness. So we've got a collective of people just connecting into that energy of loneliness. So if you can imagine just ball of energy around your heart, and you can put a color in that ball, any kind of color or colors that you like. And just imagine bringing this ball of light into your heart space. And as the angelic light language is coming through, just see it going straight into that ball of color and entering into your heart space. Osa shatakana sotoyana mariana sokote shokote asatate periana sokota shakanaya. Hanno se te she no koso te kasha to tutte parara to kosa na eana. Harakosa na kasha tu esi ai kute yala na no bekiasa katuchika. Haratute ne putara rata patkanaya. Ore sono kayana tote ana sata shuta mariana sota kasutushana da koreana sotikia. Hatte sekea anana mea satotka tuk 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 kayana. Tose shukona masaka. Halolo bachukutana sukyana kotexiya. Hatsukana ta. Ai so shena are kosotekiano sotupikia satkia kutkia. Hanase kashukure ananana baka. Hasane ai yoko sateshiko. Tekikore anasakate koshana katakia nakataya. Husse puko sateke shukutu putakaria sokotekia nasatekia. Haya nasoshe naka sate shutta kana sakotiana patikia satekia. Just imagine that light, that ball of color just filling you up so that you become part of that ball of light. And to see it filling up with angelic white and golden light. Just breathing in love and connection and exhaling anything that's heavy or dense. And as you are in this big ball of light, there's just a little more of the language coming through. Se shone a se shona kasarato isakanayota pokeshatanaka harato to sikyana hatsuna de badaka. And just taking a deep breath and thanking the angels for this transmission and knowing that you are receiving exactly what you need in this moment. And you may feel some energy running in your body, and it will just continue to run. And then when you are ready, you can come back to this moment in time.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. It's really moving a lot of energy.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
And, I think that this is one of those times that we need to have a lot of energy moved out. So thank you so much for doing that with us. I notice that in our chat, we have a couple questions for you.
Okay.
And Stacy was wondering if you have any tips to more fully connect with loved ones and the angels. And says she can connect at various times, but she really wants to be more connected with them. And if you don't have a practice of light language or those kinds of things, are there other steps that you can take? What are your recommendations?
Absolutely. I think it's important to set up a bit of a sacred space, whatever that looks like for you, whether it's a place in your home where you can light a candle or you can have some flowers or just a space, and then set the intention to connect. And really be clear on it. Today, I'd like to connect with my mother, or today, I'd like to connect with someone from my father's family, and then just really suspend that disbelief and get rid of all those limiting things that tell you you can't. it's always that first thought will be like, oh, I can do this. And then the second thought will go, no, you can't. And you got to get rid of that little guy, that little pesky guy that comes in. And then just allow yourself to be super curious. Like, what if I could connect? What would it feel like? Would I hear things? Would I see things? And then just go within. And I always say, ask your angels to help you. And just go with what happens and how it feels. And anything that you sense or see or feel or know, trust it because it's real.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I just had Augie. Augie, are you still with us? I know he's taking care of some really important things behind the scenes. Okay, let me bring up another question. Um, Earlier we were talking about how the angels could intervene if it's not someone's time and an accident's about to occur. And there's a question about how is it not someone's time to pass if we create the life that we have and we choose exit points? Or is it just that there is more of them that is in or that there's more of them that is important to do, and some more time would benefit them with the collective? And does that also not change others' lessons or life? Life.
Okay. You may have to remind me of the last part of that question, but we'll start with the first part. I really believe the soul knows when it's its time. And that's why we see things where there's car accidents that are just crazy accidents and people walk away from them, or there's something that's just a very small accident and they pass. Like there's a certain window of time, and the soul knows when it's its time. So if things happen that where the angels are like, you know what, no, this isn't the time, I think that's when they can intervene. And yes, I'll ask you to remind me the rest of the question.
Let me move up. Oh, they're just wondering if maybe if someone doesn't choose an exit point, does that mean that there's more for them to learn and other things that would benefit them more than the exit strategy?
I believe that on some level that we're having those conversations, right? You know, we're having those soul conversations with our guides and with our team. You know, this is an exit point for me. Is it a good time for me to leave? Is it a good time for everyone in my life, or is there another time? I believe that that is something that we're talking about on another level, if that makes sense.
Wonderful. All right, let's see. Does anyone else have any questions that they would like to ask? Okay, so I wanted to ask also, you know, we spend so much time on our computers and on our phones, and we all know that the electromagnetics can affect our bodies. Do you think that technology impacts people's ability to communicate with their angels? Um, because some people have said that they feel like when they're on their computer day in and day out, that it kind of thwarts their ability to connect fully. So I was wondering what your expert opinion is on that.
Well, I know my angels call them the black boxes, and they say spend less time on the black boxes. I think the times when we're really able to connect is when we're just waking up, or just before we're going to sleep, or during our sleep. So I think it's important to have times in our day that are tech-free zones. So even if you can, you know, not connect with your phone or your technology right when you wake up, and even build in 10 minutes where you can breathe and center and try to connect with your team. And also at the end of the night, if you can have, you know, I'd say half an hour, but if you can do 10 minutes where you put your phone away and you do it again. Personally, I have an app on my phone that doesn't allow me to get in until 9 a.m. so that I have 2 hours in the morning where I can't get in. And that is really good for me, because otherwise I would just pick it up and start taking a look, and then it kicks in again at night. I can't open my phone.
Oh, wow. Well, that's kind of cool. I might have to get the name of that app from you because, yeah, I can be guilty sometimes checking that phone in the morning, especially if I'm waiting for messages from somebody. And you're right. In the mornings and at night is such a personal, um, really a precious time for us because, we're just waking up. We're just kind of greeting the day. And I find for me personally that I do much better throughout the day if I'm just like, okay, here I am. I'm a vessel. Show me what to do. Instead of like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Oh no, we've got another fire to put out, because that energy can kind of shift the day. So, when we are working with our angels and our guides, because I know you also do some shamanic work, which I'd like you to tell us about here in just a moment. But when we have these things that are going on in our lives, and we just talked about that field of possibilities, how do you think that morning time impacts those fields?
So back up, I believe at nighttime, when our physical bodies are resting, we're traveling, we're learning, we're expanding. So when we wake up in the morning, that veil is still so thin because we've just been there, and we've just been connecting and expanding. And so if we can continue that consciously for a while before we get into our day, it just really accelerates things for us.
Yeah, because I noticed how we had the energy of the conversation, and then we had this very sacred moment, and then you were speaking the light language, and it began to really fill us up and to work with us. And then we moved into the questions, which are very important to do. But it's kind of like, oh, yeah, I just wanted to stay in that space just a little bit longer. So, maybe we can think about how that felt with us tonight and try to remember to carry that through to the morning. But I have another question from someone, and they want to know that when contact is made with a family member, how long and how often should they continue to make contact?
I there seems to be so many rules or so many things, you shouldn't contact them, you shouldn't bother them. But we just don't have the perception of how multidimensional they are and how they can be with us as much as we want them to be with us. It comes down to, how does it feel for you? Are you connecting in all the time, and is that taking you away from real life? Are you trying to build something that you had in the past? Or are you working with this connection for support and for messages that are helping you in your life now?
Beautiful. I have one more angel question, and then I promise I'll let you talk to us about shamanism for a few minutes. But
Okay.
when you're working with angels, I know the vibrational frequency that the person is carrying will basically attract the angel to them that's probably most likely to be able to accommodate their questions or whatever, whether it is their guardian angel or not. But do you find that there are different realms of angels or different levels of angels? And do different levels deliver different types of messages to people?
Yeah, so, we think about kind of, I like to think of it as umbrellas of angels, if that makes sense. We have God, we have our source, or whatever divinity, whatever works for you. And then we have the archangels, and they're kind of like the bosses. And then we have the worker bees and then we have, who I'm very connected to, the Elohim, the creator angels. And so, they're going to feel different, they're going to bring through different messages. But when you're just first starting to connect, it's important to just say, angels, I'd like some messages. I'd like some support, and not get too stuck in who's talking to me and what do they mean and what's their job.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. Okay, now tell us about your shamanic journey.
So, shamanic journeys are something that started coming through when I was leading people on meditative journeys, and I didn't really understand what they were. The angels were showing me that it was the easiest way to move energy, the quickest way to move energy. So I educated myself, worked with a shamanic practitioner, and really started to incorporate that kind of work in my journeys with clients. Um, Shamanism is just fascinating, and it is so all encompassing with helping us to move and expand energy. And I know you work with shamanism as well, so it's just a fascinating realm for me.
Awesome. And what brought you to begin to work with shamanism? I know for me, I had a teacher that I was studying with, and we began to learn about shamanic journey. And, I fell in love with it, and bam, I just took off with it. It really anchored me into the physical body. Did you have something in particular that occurred in your life that moved you in that direction?
I was working with a client, and this journey, because many of the journeys, well, all of the journeys that I work with clients are channeled, and it was just a very different kind of journey, a very earth-based journey, that shamanistic kind of way. And that's when I started to what was that, and it was so exciting, and how does that work, and that's when I began to learn more about it.
Beautiful, beautiful. And so, can you tell us a little bit about your process with shamanic journey, or is do you use it with your clients? Do you use it for your own personal growth? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Both, absolutely. So it just kind of connects in with my light language, and it's always about going within and releasing and then filling. It's always like a release and a fill, a release and a fill. And it's what are we doing? Are we doing a soul retrieval? Are we working with the elders? Are we working with the dragons? It's such a big, huge area. And I love that when I do work with clients, it's so channeled that it's always different for every person, right?
So, you mentioned soul retrieval, and for those people who may not be familiar with soul retrieval, could you explain what that is?
So many times, when we're younger, something happens, occurs to us. It can be in this life or a past life where we don't have the ability to deal with it in the moment. So it's like a little piece of ourself, a little bit of our energy almost gets like frozen in that moment. And then we're going along with life, and something happens, and we come up with a trigger, and it's not the adult in us that's being triggered, it's that little aspect of ourself that's being triggered. So we go in, and we find it, and we bring it back into who we are. We bring it back into our light.
Do you find you have to coax it? Or
Sometimes,
come on,
sometimes
come
it doesn't
on.
want to come. Sometimes it still doesn't think it's safe, right? Sometimes it takes a little bit more prodding and cajoling, and other times it's just happy to release.
Wonderful, wonderful. I know I have asked you so many questions tonight. Is there anything that you wanted to share with us that I did not ask you about?
Oh my
Because
gosh,
I'm going to
your
ask her this.
questions were fabulous. I hope I answered them, everybody's questions, and if there's any more, go for it. But you have a great sense of asking questions, so I appreciate that.
Oh, well, thanks so much. So, this is something that I always like to ask people. If you had the attention of the world and they were listening to what you had to say, what message would you like to give to them?
Hmm. I would say you always have a choice. You can choose faith or you can choose fear. Both of them ask you to believe in something unknown. And why not choose faith?
Mm, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank
You're
you. And I want to thank you so much for being here. And I have a personal favor to ask. This isn't anything that we had talked about previously, but I do want to share with everyone that Susie, who, has played music for us every Monday and every Thursday, has lost her beloved Spirit. And so he has lost his life. And this has just been a great shock to a lot of people. And I'd like for us to take just a couple moments to hold space and to, really send some love. And Laurie, I would like to ask, could you bring through some light language from the angels to help, everyone to kind of soothe this situation just a little bit?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Um, I'm seeing it just as just like this waterfall of light coming down on everyone who is needing more love and connection in this moment. Duse shose tega so sana pakana sate shi ko riana sake shaka sateana ko sate kashia. Just very gently, su shana kasariana soko shuko ha rokisina patikia. Hasane oriana sate la ka shuna badate kesutikiana sate. Just bringing soothing light to all hearts involved. Hasana kashete asoto koso manakariana sote kia sate. My heart goes out to all who are grieving this loss.
Thank you so much for that. That was absolutely beautiful. And Augie, I see that you are with us. Do you have any comments or anything that you'd like to bring forward tonight?
Oh, there I are. Um, I don't know, but I am not so sure that we understand what he did right. There may have been someone else involved
Mm,
to help him do what he did. And I'm going to find out. I'm going to go out and see if I can find him. And Laurie, um, he may contact you. You get in touch with him whichever way you can, because I think he is pretty lost right now.
mm,
Because he's very much. I talked to him the day before he did it, and he was very upbeat. We were doing something to secure a property for him, and he was very optimistic about things. It didn't make sense that he would do this the day after. So I think there is something that we do not understand, and let's try to connect with him in whichever way we can.
okay. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. And so anyone who, feels so inclined to send out love, to, travel in the different realms that we travel in. And, we were talking about a soul retrieval earlier with Laurie, and, maybe we can find and help bring some peace to this situation. But thank you so much. And I want to circle back to Laurie because Laurie, as I said, everything happens exactly the way that it should. And I think that your presence here tonight was so, I know I was so deeply touched. And I love the work that you're doing. I just want to give you another moment. If people would like to reach out to you, how can they contact you for a session, or do you offer classes? Tell us just a little bit more about who is Laurie.
Thank you. So I'm on Instagram at Laurie Parente. My website is Laurie Parente. I just keep it pretty basic, and I do one-on-one sessions. And then quarterly, I run a group course called Reclaim Your Light. It aligns with the solstices and the equinoxes, so it's happening next week, and it's a 3-day course where we really work on releasing and connecting and activating.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much. All right, guys, if you want to connect with Laurie, there's a plethora of ways that you can do that. So reach out, get in touch, and remember, get in touch with your angels every day. Because, like I said, I'm sure they're just sitting around twiddling their thumbs sometime. It's like, don't they remember that I'm here to help them? So, reach out, ask for what you need, because they are there to help support you. And I know when I'm working with my angelics that, the sense of unconditional love that I experience, it's almost like you can almost feel them wrapping, their wings or their arms around you and bringing in that support. So, that's something that I encourage everyone to do, is to get in touch with your angels. So maybe tonight, before you go to sleep, call them in, ask them to come and spend a little bit of time with you in dream time. And also, maybe they'll take you and show you a way to connect in with your loved ones that are on the other side. So, Laurie, do you do sessions with people to connect with their loved ones on the other side?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. All right, guys, you have been listening to Laurie Parente here on Cosmic Conversations. I thank you all so much for being here with us. I send you much love and light. And until we are all back together again, namaste and much love, everyone. Thank you so much, and have a beautiful night, everyone. Bye bye. Thanks again, Laurie.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
Bye bye.